Hi everybody, I've got something fun for you. I'm going to show you a decorative technique called chattering. And I'm going to do it, there's lots of different ways to apply a chatter tool to a piece to give an interesting texture. It's something that I believe started with wood turners. I know it's a big thing in Switzerland. Basically, you have a cutting tool that is flexible enough that it vibrates as the wheel goes around or the lathe goes around in the case of wood turning. And it makes a skipping, bouncing pattern that could be really interesting. It can provide a really interesting surface under a glaze. I'm going to apply a contrasting color of slip before I show you the chattering, just so that in the video it's really clear. It can be a nice thing to do in general. You can use a colored slip, you can just use a contrasting like white on dark clay. But hopefully it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to see in the video exactly what's happening with the chatter tool. So I'm going to readjust the camera, stay tuned, and we're going to show you how this works. All right, guys, I've got this bowl that I just trimmed. It's on the dry end of leather hard, which is great because hopefully that means the slip is going to stick on there really well. I am on a foam bat because with this chattering technique, I find it really nice to be able to go all the way down to the rim, or at least near the rim if I want to. And if I've got those hold down pieces of clay, they're going to keep me from getting all the way to the bottom. So this one's being done on a foam bat. I like to tap on center on a foam bat. Just a handy way to get it all set up, and then that's good to go. I've got a flat brush, not a super fancy one. This is a craft store, Artist Loft brand, necessities, definitely not, fine sable, but it'll get the job done for putting on some slip. Those Hake snap brushes would also be a really good choice. I've got a better one somewhere. This one came to hand, and I know it's going to be good enough to get a little coat of white slip on here. So I'm going to load up this brush fairly heavily. I'm going to get my wheel going, wait till it stops dripping, and then I'm going to just lay on a few coats of this white slip. Trying to go right to the foot. Reload the brush. I'm going for some more. Kind of working it down, unloading that brush. And I'm going to go really close to the rim. I want to get it kind of nice and uniformly applied. So I love to put slip on the wheel. It gives me such a better chance of applying it uniformly. Definitely don't want to drip it down. So I'm going to start a little bit above where I want it to finish up. And I'm going to flip that brush over. One more pass up here at the top. You want to give it long enough to fully coat, but you don't want to just keep going round and round and round over the same area, or you'll start to just bring up the underlying clay into your slip. So that's got some little striations from the brush being kind of a cheap, cheesy brush, but that's going to be fine. We're going to be cutting through that with a chatter tool, and it's going to end up looking just fine. Most of it's actually going to get carved away. Now, because this piece of clay to which I've applied the slip is fairly dry, that slip should stick on there and absorb pretty quick. I'm going to cut off the camera, give it a few minutes to set up, and then I'm going to come back and show you what to do with this guy. This is a homemade chatter tool. I make these, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can use it. Okay, we're back, and this slip is now dry to the touch. It really didn't take long at all because that clay underlying the slip was pretty thirsty. I want to make sure that this thing doesn't go anywhere. A lot of times I don't even worry about it, especially on a bigger piece, but this bowl is fairly small and lightweight, and it's just sitting on the foam. So I'm going to put the lid to one of those Starbucks mocha frappuccino kind of glass bottle drinks, because that's the only thing. Baby food seems to come in squeeze tubes now instead of little Gerber jars. So get yourself one of these lids and put it in your box, because you can use it to keep a little downward pressure on pieces when they're not being secured by pieces of clay. This chatter tool has two ends. It's got a rounded end and it's got a square end. And I'm going to use the rounded end. I don't want to make a big wide pattern. I want to make a little skipping pattern. And you can see the curvature actually puts the cutting angle so that if you're holding it perpendicular to the pot, I guess not, if you're holding the handle of the tool tangent to the pot, this hook kind of comes back in the wrong direction. And that's good because we don't want it to just trim off the slip. If we wanted to trim, we'd get the trim tool. We want it to catch and then jump and then catch again and jump. And the flexibility, this is spring steel. This is made from a strap that would be used to hold a load of like bricks on a pallet or something like that. It's basically a waste product that gets thrown away. And I scavenge these and form them into these cool chatter tools. So what I want to do is I want to bring my hand out so that I'm accentuating that grab and bounce and grab and bounce. And when you start chattering, you want to keep the tool still until there's a feedback. And as it bounces, it'll make it more likely to bounce the next time it comes back around. And it'll start to kind of feedback and start humming louder and louder and louder as the vibrations sort of reinforce each other. Once you hear the buzzing sound or the vibrating sound, then you can move up the profile of the pot. But you want to move slowly enough that the previous skips and jumps kind of activate the new bounces. So I'm going to show you. You can just come straight up the profile like this, and you'll get everything looking like little bounces that are radial to the circle of the pot. I like to actually give it a little bit more life. So I'm going to start out with it kind of on a diagonal this way, and I'm going to pivot around and change so that my jumping pattern doesn't just look like straight lines. So this is kind of the fancy version. This is how I like to do it. So I'm going to start down there near the rim of the pot, and I'm going to shut up for a second so you can actually hear the sound of the bouncing start. Now I'm going to start moving. I love that when you turn the wheel off and the pattern becomes evident. It's really, really something when you see it. And this one worked like a champ. The patterns really overlapped, and it looks like almost like the stitching on a Papago Indian basket or any kind of coiled grass basket. Very, very beautiful pattern. I'm going to get the camera up close and personal for you so that you can see exactly what was created. And it looks incredibly intricate and difficult, and you saw the secret. It took all of 10 seconds to do. So I'll get you the close-up now. So that's the close-up. I'm going to turn the wheel on so you can kind of see it all the way around. And then I'll stop it again so you don't get seasick. You can see the occasional little goober on there, and resist the temptation to try to pull those off at this stage. Just let the piece get dry and those little goobers will brush right off, and you can go ahead and bisque fire it and find a cool glaze that's going to really highlight that pattern. But it looks really intense and difficult and impressive. But the secret is, if you've got the right tool and you've got your tool held at the right angle, and your clay is at the right stiffness, which is on the hard end of leather hard, this is a pattern that will just emerge by, I guess, harmonic motion would be the correct term for it. It's just a vibration. So very cool. Give this guy a try. I hope you'll enjoy it.